Welcome back to the Hardwood Hustle. We're going to take a little different slant today. We're going to go with a bunch of nuggets, just little things that might just get your engine running a little bit, help you to think of some ideas, and just maybe refocus where you're at as a coach. And we're actually going to take them from George Raveling. And for those of you who don't know who George Raveling is, he is 85 years old. He is a legendary coach, big time influencer on the game, has been since day one, has a ton of interesting facts about himself as well. You know, he was actually at the I Have a Dream speech for Martin Luther King and asked Martin Luther King for the notes afterwards, took the notes, saved them, was offered like $3 million about a decade ago for him, didn't sell it, and then put it on loan to Villanova University, where I think he played basketball, so people could read it. He said it was meant to be shared, not meant to be owned, which I thought was really interesting. But I love hearing from coaches in the past, and his reflections have been just really insightful. And I think we can learn from those that have gone before us and have done some really great things in the game, and probably even just them looking back on it and thinking about, gosh, I wish I'd have done this different. I know I'm going to have 1,000 of those. But before we look back and think, gosh, I wish, let's go ahead and talk about some of those things so we can prevent them. So, Sam, I'm going to throw out some nuggets, some things that he's posted on different sites, and just great learnings. And we're going to get your thoughts on them and how coaches can apply it to their coaching. So I'm going to start you with the first one right here, Sam. George Raveling: criticism needs to be a learning tool, not a weapon of destruction.
Yeah, I love it. Criticism needs to be a learning tool, not a weapon of destruction. Again, you didn't give me these before we got on, so I'm just giving my real time, unfiltered responses. But TJ, the way I look at that or hear that is like that's a statement for the coach, for the teacher, for the person giving the critique. And when we come from that place of what'd you say? It's a learning tool. Yeah, when we offer critiques, but we look at it as giving it, hey, I'm here to give this critique to make this person better and not take their spirit from them. That's probably a pretty healthy way to coach somebody. So I know that could hit us between the eyes.
I think we've
As
said
far
it
as
a lot with don't be, demeaning, be demanding, and I
yeah,
think as a wise old coach, it's like just a different way to say that. Like, that's, your words are a tool or a weapon. And I think
hmm
the way that you use those are really, really important. Here's the second one for you. I think this is one that you might like right here. Happiness is handmade.
yeah. Happiness is handmade. Happiness is handmade.
I
Yeah,
think
well,
about
what's
it
the
every
what's
single
the
day.
opposite of that?
Probably unhappiness. I
Yeah,
think about it every day. You always say, "Great day to be a Rosine, great day to be an Allen." I think that you
yeah,
take that approach every day of just, "Hey, I've got to make this day what it is." And I think so many people wait for their circumstances to be right before they
yeah,
actually go attack it. And I think we can actually impart that on our players as well.
yeah. That's good. And I was actually listening to this graduation speech. I don't know if you heard it, but it was actually Georgia Tech graduation speech. I think it was from just this past weekend. And the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs has won 2 Super Bowls, was saying, hey, a lot of you are going to go out into the world and you're going to, make a lot of money and maybe fly private. And maybe some of you already have done that. And he said, I would challenge you to pursue your purpose in life and not, basically not pursuing material things, although it's fine to have those things too. But where's your real purpose? And that's where happiness, will come. Where if you're not careful, especially I think young people and maybe older people are susceptible to it, but young people who haven't lived is, pursuing these things they see online, and you chase the Joneses, you chase your friend and what their lifestyle, and I think that's even more present in today's world than ever.
Yeah, and I think for coaches, I think the question is, what are you chasing? Is it wins? Is it impacting lives? What is it that you are chasing? I think it's a great question to ask yourself, because we could probably be some of the most guilty people of, you know, judging ourselves and our success based on the outcome of a game. And we've got to be careful of that. That can be a really dangerous road to go down. All right, here's another one. Curiosity is your greatest ally. Curiosity is your greatest ally.
Yeah, I love that because it's so true. When you're curious, you're, I just think of Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental. But when we are curious, we're seeking new things, we're seeking new understandings, new learnings. We don't get set in our old ways. We always are challenging the status quo. I mean, I think if we're always curious, we're always growing. If we're always growing, good things are happening for people around us and for ourselves.
Yeah, building on that one, here's another one from him. It's really good. Doing what you like is freedom. Liking what you do is happiness. I think about this for coaches all the time. Doing what you like is freedom. Liking what you do is happiness. And, I think a lot of coaches would say that, man, I want to coach. I love basketball, whatever. And there's probably some freedom in that. But liking what you do is happiness, is a whole second part to that I think changes the equation. It's easy for us to find reasons or people that will steal our joy, our administrators, parents, maybe troublesome players, whatever it is. And so we have to really guard against that. We talk about that all the time at PGC, but doing what you like is freedom. So a lot of coaches probably got into coaching basketball because they really like it, because they really love coaching the game or being a part of it. But are they liking what they are doing? Because that brings real happiness. That's the question. And you have to protect against that, because people will easily steal your joy from you.
Say that quote one more time.
Yeah, doing what you like is freedom. Liking what you do is happiness.
Yeah, just hearing you say that. Yeah, I like how that's positioned together because yeah, we pursue what we're passionate about, but over time, I think this is what you're saying, over time you forget to keep loving what you're doing because you let all the peripheral things kind of creep in and steal your joy from it. And you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, and I study and consume entrepreneurial things a lot of times. And you get a lot of different people say different things, like pursue your passion. And some people say, screw that. Don't pursue your passion. Go after what you're good at. It's not about what you're happy. And I don't know. I say when I started my entrepreneurial dream in 2011, TJ, I had a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of tough days, but I don't even know that I looked at them as tough days because I was doing what I loved. And as long as that's what drove me and still drives me to this day. And so doing what I love has served me really well. Now, have I gotten drowned by the negativity at times? 100%. So that quote right there is a good reminder for me.
Yeah. So again, these are just a bunch of nuggets that I just thought, gosh, it'd be very, very valuable to share, because one of these might hit you between the eyes. Like that one might have hit you, Sam. A bunch of these hit me at different times. And wisdom from old coaches is just something that you can't get enough of. Somebody that's been through it, somebody that's done it, somebody that's got a different perspective on life. So let me move on to the next one. And this one kind of speaks to my heart a little bit. When I think about coaches and the impact they have, and we've shared it so many times, Billy Graham, most coaches have more influence or impact in 1 year than most people do in an entire lifetime. The weight of being a coach, the impact you have a chance to make. And George Raveling says, it's time to stop waiting because the world needs you now. It's time to stop waiting because the world needs you right now. I think about that with players all the time. Like, stop thinking about this. Stop spending all that time on this next X and O you got. There's some player in your gym today that really needs you.
Well, when you think about like just the one part of that quote, which is the world needs you, your kids need you, your wife needs you. Like when you think of something from a place of this person needs me, it shifts urgency, it shifts purpose really quick for you. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Hey, and the best coaches I've ever been around do this one right here, Sam. I love this one. The best thing you can do with your life is give it away. I think about this all the time. When Mono told me this a long time ago, I think it just hit me right between the eyes, and it made me look and have a different perspective. He said, blessings are meant to pass through you, not stick with you. And
Mm-hmm.
every time you gain something, whether it's knowledge or understanding or empathy or whatever it might be, that's just a blessing, and it's meant to pass through you and go to somebody else. And so the best thing you can do in life is give it away.
Yeah, really well said. I think about that one a lot. The name of the book is slipping me that you may remember it. There's a book that's attributed to that.
Yeah, I cannot remember. Um, and this is one for coaches that I think is really important too. Like, and I think it's true for players too. And he says, one of the worst things a person can do is lie to themselves. And we talk about this all the time, that just knowing yourself is a superpower, just understanding yourself. And so many times we can tell ourselves lies, whether they're lies to inflate ourselves or whether they're lies that really bring us down. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. This is too hard, whatever. And I think lying to ourselves is something, we talk about it all the time with players at PGC, self-talk, and that's a dangerous road to go down when you start lying to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. The divorce the story, marry the truth.
Yeah. What about this one? This is an interesting one, Sam. This one came right after the Milwaukee Bucks coach got fired. Okay. And he says this: sometimes the person being fired is the best candidate for the job. Sometimes the person being fired is the best candidate for the job.
Yeah, we've all known coaches that have been fired prematurely from a job, and when you know the insides of a particular job and the person that holds that position, and you see them get let go, and you shake your head, like the person who's the decision maker who fired them doesn't have a clue. But that happens so many times where I mean we can it's become a more cliche thing, but Coach K at Duke, TJ, in today's game, Coach K gets fired with his record after 3 years, and administrators and fans want everything to happen now. And the reality is, when you build a program, it takes time to build relationships, build program, get right people in the right seats on the bus, and as long as you got the right person, you got to be patient and let that thing happen.
Yeah, I often think about the Andy Stanley quote where he says, probably once a year at least we should fire ourselves and step out of the job, and we look back and what would we do different. Sometimes we're so in the weeds, we're so in the fire that we can't even realize the things that we should do different. And sometimes it takes us being fired. That person can oftentimes be the right person for the job and just have been so um, just, I don't know whether it can be ruined or so just jaded by the experiences that they've had or done. And sometimes you lose, appreciation for your job or your position. And a lot of times we just have to have that perspective. If we were to fire ourselves from the job and apply for it tomorrow, what would we do different? How would we show up different? Because we can only control that. We can't control everybody else's. All right, here's another one. Again, we teach this at PGC all the time. I love this one. Every day becomes a unique opportunity to become someone else's cheerleader. Say that one again. Every day becomes a unique opportunity to be someone else's cheerleader. And it's such a gift. I think people take that for granted. And I try and keep this in mind with my team and my players. And sometimes I do great at it, sometimes I don't. But it is really a unique opportunity. Everybody needs cheerleaders in life. And as coaches, we get that opportunity on a regular basis.
That one's rang true for me in my life so many times where God has placed someone in my life, or just for a brief moment where maybe I am discouraged, maybe going through a challenge, and somebody steps in out of the nowhere. Like, this is where, like, when I say God places them, like, I'll get a phone call, I'll get a text, I'll get caught into a conversation, um, very randomly in person, and this person like just speaks positivity into my life, man. Like, they encourage me. They say they like say things that I need to hear in that moment. And so those people have truly saved me at times. And I need, hearing you say that, like I try to do that with other people, and I'll pick when I know a coach gets fired, whether I know them well or not. I'll either call them or send them a text just to try to encourage them. Maybe they deserve to get fired. Maybe they did. Like, it doesn't matter. But just hearing somebody say, "Hey, I see you. Are you okay? Hey, I don't know that I have the right words." Sometimes it is an encouragement because they prematurely got let go. It doesn't have to be that serious of a thing. Like, it could just be everyday life. But I think we all need to cheerlead other people in a genuine way, not in a fake way, not in a false praise way, but in a genuine way.
Yeah. What about this one? You and I both experience this on a daily basis. I think coaches experience this, numerous times a day. There has to be a healthy balance between yes and no. There has to be a healthy balance between yes and no.
Yeah, there does. You say yes to too many things. Well, every time you do say yes, by the way, you're saying no to something else. And another way of saying, like, on this that quote is like, if it's not a a heck yes, it's a heck no. Um, so there's a lot, and like early in my, I say this like I'm some old person. I'd say in my 20s, 30s, I'm dating myself here. I said yes a lot. Now I'm a little more cautious to say yes. And a lot of that has to do with having a family and having commitments to so many things that I have to be. And sometimes when you say no to things, you have to be okay with offending somebody. Sometimes you can't respond to the email in 48 hours. Well, you're probably going to offend somebody. You got to be okay offending some people. And are you offending the right people is another way I think about it.
Yeah, it's very true. It does evolve over time. I think what coaches need to keep in mind is every time you say yes to something, you're giving time to that, which means you're saying no to something else. And I think as coaches, it's really important to prioritize because if we want to help, we've talked about this before. What is it? Something like 75% of NFL coaches have been divorced or are divorced. Like it's probably because they're saying yes to demands of their job. And I think that, permeates pretty much almost any profession, but coaching for sure. Are you saying no to things so that you can spend more time with your family? Are you saying no to things so that you can spend more time with your players? I mean, I think this applies to our team on a daily basis. Are we saying yes to everything in the gym so that we're saying no to things off the court that could actually be really valuable for our team? And everything costs something. Every time you say yes, it costs you something. You better make sure that it's worth it. And I think that's a hard lesson to learn, which one you grow into when you get older. And I think the earlier that coaches can adopt this, the better off that they're going to be. All right, Sam, here's the next one. There will be many pit stops on your journey. Know you can live in a space of gratitude, even when you feel life is testing you. Read that one again, like, because this is so hard to do, right? I mean, I think about coaches all the time, and our friends over at Hoop Dirt, they do a great job. But I know when spring rolls around, every coach is on there. Where's the next job? Where's the next stop? Where's the next place? And everyone's thinking about who's the next player. We're in that competitive environment. But George Raveling says there will be many pit stops on your journey. Know you can live in a space of gratitude, even when you feel life is testing you.
Yeah, that's a big one, and that's one I really feel like I put in my own words. Like, adversity is a gift. You know, we had Tony Bennett on the Hardwood Hustle, TJ, and we asked him about the being the first ever one seed to lose to a 16, and he had that great quote that his wife gave him: "Adversity is a gift." So I really do think that sometimes our challenges are our biggest moments of gratitude if we choose to look at it that way. Um, I also thought of pit stop, coffee in, coffee out from Greece, but that's a whole nother story.
The next one, instead of striving for perfection, strive for excellence. I think you got to unpack this one a little bit. Instead of striving for perfection, strive for excellence. Strive for greatness. Strive to go to bed wiser than you were when you woke up. Commit to getting 1% better each day, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So I'm going to read the second part of that. Commit to getting 1% better each day, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I know this was a big one for me, Sam. Man, I wanted everything to get done. And my list, I would work my butt off every single day. And it felt like my list of things I needed to do was longer at the end of the day than it was at the beginning of the day, no matter how much
Mm-hmm.
work I did. And I think a big part of that was just striving for perfection, striving to be great at everything. And he says, don't do that. Strive for excellence, strive for greatness. And I think that is different. I think that is pushing the rock forward 1 foot every day. I mean, imagine a boulder in front of you and you've got to get it 100 yards. And if you move it a foot every day, it's not going to seem like a lot, but eventually it's going to get that 100 yards. And I think that's the same premise here of 1% better each day. You know, if tomorrow you are mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually better, just 1%, you're better. Because the opposite of that is, I mean, I think about this sometimes with my own health. I wish, sometimes during the season I do a good job, sometimes not. But if I was just 1% better each day, then I would be a little bit physically healthier. But it's easy to not do that 1% that day and go backwards. And then you see that just mountain pile up where it's like, man, now I'm 10 steps back. Now I'm 20 steps back. And then you have a hard time moving that 1% forward. But 1% better each day, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When you first said that, I thought of the old saying, practice makes perfect, or perfect makes perfect. Reality is no, practice makes permanent, and consistency matters. And I apply this, TJ, in my physical health, where I work out 5 6 times a week, but I don't have home runs at 5 6 times a week. Some days I can only get in there for 20 minutes and do something. It's not a great workout, but I did it, and 20 minutes is better than 0 minutes. And when you start stacking that on top of day, like, that's how I approach that. When I do my devotionals in the morning, I'm not having this like come to Jesus spiritual awakening every single morning, but the consistency of it draws me closer and fills my soul and my spirit more. And so I used to beat myself up pretty good. I think that's what you're saying. I used to really be really good at that. Now I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm going to make progress today. It's not going to be perfect. Um, Now you got to be cautious. You go down, like last thing on this, you got to be cautious. You go down that road and you settle for mediocrity too much. Like, you got to be careful of that as well.
Yeah, I think that's, spot on. And I think that's one thing coaches could really learn from is like, just keep moving the rock forward. I mean, so you got 10 minutes to work out. Great. So, you can spend 10 minutes in silence. Great. So you can do, 2 or 3 minutes of gratitude so that you're improving your mental health, like just little things like that. And I really think we live in a space and a profession where the grind is what everybody values, and I grinded harder than this person today, and in the midst of the grind we don't become 1% better spiritually, physically, mentally, healthy. We actually become the opposite, and we have to be really, really careful of that as coaches and just keep moving the rock forward and not fall prey to that trap right there. Sam, I like this one. This one speaks about mindset. It's really good. It says many people live in poverty, but poverty doesn't live in them. Think about that for a second. Many people live in poverty, but poverty doesn't live in them. And I think this is a great mindset quote.
That it's funny you said it, because I sent a text to a former player this morning on that very thing, where I believe they're chasing these success milestones, these professional things, these monetary things, and it's so true. Like, when I think that, like, Sarah and I we just celebrated an anniversary, TJ, and we've had moments where we're living like like, this is not an exaggerate, we like paycheck to paycheck, but down to like the cents, like in our early years of marriage. Then we've lived in times in our marriage where we've had abundance, and you know the the money, like, you can be one of the poorest people in the world financially and be the happiest. You can also be one of the wealthiest. Why do celebrities in Hollywood take their lives? Like you see people commit suicide with 25, $50 million in their bank account. Obviously, that didn't buy happiness. You're living in this $1 million home, and people are taking their lives. Like, and so again, we're not saying like you can have money and be happy too, but it's so true. True happiness is something much deeper, and it doesn't matter where you live, what your car you drive, things like that.
Yeah, and I think it goes even deeper than just poverty, like financial poverty.
Yeah.
I think it's poverty in so many different areas. And I immediately reflected to players that I've coached that were, poor in one way or another, but showed up every day with a great attitude. And I think about a long time ago when we had a player in, and when I first took the job at Emmanuel, it was a bad job. It was just bad circumstances. The gym was the worst gym in the country. And we brought in a kid who was just a really poor kid who walked in the gym, and he said, "Man, this place is cool." He's like, "I like this place. Them wood backboards on the side on those metal poles. I ain't never seen that before." He's like, kept going on. I was like, man, I was just struck by his appreciation. And I thought immediately, like, this is a poor kid living in poverty. But in his mind, like, he's not there. Like, he's living different, and just his appreciation. And, I think coaches can get in this place too. Like, we might miss out. We might be living in a place of poverty in our job. Woe is me. I don't have enough good players. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough. But the opposite of that is, man, I'm thankful to be coaching basketball. Like, this is a great opportunity. Like, I'm going to make the most of this. Yeah, we only won one game, but watch us take off this year. We're going to win three. Like, I mean, there's that mindset is one that is so powerful. Hey, look, got a couple more to wrap us up here. This one is kind of a little off different than what we've been talking about, but this is to be cautious, to help certain players you might be coaching over your time, and to make sure that you don't fall prey or fall into the trap of doing this. The better athlete you are, the more likely you will be treated as a commodity. Think about that for a second. The better athlete you are, the more likely you will be treated as a commodity.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and athletes need to be aware of that because you're more than an athlete. What you do and who you are, there's some connection there, but who you are matters a lot more. I try to tell that to players I work with all the time, that become more than just a basketball player. And you are, because someday you're not going to be, or a football, or whatever it is you do. There's so much more to who you are than what you do.
Yeah, and we just got to be careful too that we don't do that. That we don't treat our players, the one that scores, 20 points or the one that gets 10 rebounds or whatever, treat them like a commodity. They're more than a basketball player. And I think it's really important for us as coaches to help players discover their identity as more than just a basketball player. And we can be so caught up in winning sometimes we can treat them as a commodity, and we got to be careful of that as well. All right, here we go. When we play small, safe, and suppress our talents and blessings, we do not serve the world. I like this thought, man. I like it a lot. When we play small, safe, and suppress our talents and blessings, we do not serve the world. I mean, to me, this just says coaches, listen, go after it. Players, go after it. Quit suppressing and quit playing small. Like, just go for it. Who cares if you fail? Like, just quit playing small. And I think we can all fall prey to that. We'd like to just be safe and comfortable.
Yes, that was the word, safe, for me. Like, we do. It's so easy to be safe. Um, like, yeah, it's so easy to be safe. I'm doing this. You ever done the Murph workout on Memorial Day? You familiar with that?
Yeah.
So like I've done it. I did it last year, and I'm gonna do it this year in a few weeks. And I'm trying to get a few buddies of mine here that live locally, and I can't get any of them to commit to. I'm like, because they want to be safe, and I'm not like, nobody's judging them on like what time you do it in. It's like, go test yourself, go to the edges a little bit, go stretch, and we do want to stay safe and neat and pretty, and we got to get dirty sometimes and get, not just physically. I know that's a physical thing, but it's like, make the phone call to the person that you have some beef with from 5 years ago, that whatever it is in your life, we all stay safe, I think.
Yeah. All right. Last one here, Sam. And George Raveling. And it's just really cool to see all this reflection on life from him, because I think all of these that we've shared, these are just a small percentage of it, but just great reflections. And, the idea of today was, coaches, maybe something hits you between the eyes and you make a U-turn, or you stop where you're at and change a little bit of direction and what you're doing. But George Raveling, the things I do for myself are gone when I am gone, but the things I do for others remains my legacy. And I say that one more time. The things I do for myself are gone when I am gone, but the things I do for others remains my legacy. And I think this speaks to coaches just really true. And I was like, yeah, the opportunity we have to do for others and the opportunity we have to leave a big wake behind us of goodness and opportunity for other people. That is our legacy. And we get a unique opportunity to have what I consider a really big impact on the world, just one player at a time.
Yeah, that's so good. I think about being at a funeral when you talk about, or when a eulogy is given or something, you're going to talk about that person and what they did for others oftentimes. And TJ, the other thing on all these, like George Raveling is this older man who's full of wisdom. And I don't know about you, but there's times in my life where I probably younger, where you're sitting on the porch, or you get caught in a conversation with an older person at the grocery store, and they're dropping some nuggets, and you might be in a hurry, and you're like, who's this old person trying to tell me? Like, I really do try. This morning, this is so ironic, this morning at the gym, there is an 85-year-old man who likes to just talk to me. And oftentimes, like, I just want to like go in and work out. This morning when he engaged me, I told myself, I'm not going to worry about working out right now, because he wanted to have about a 10-minute conversation. I'm just going to talk to this guy. And, he shared some things in that conversation that I think were really impactful. And I don't want busyness to get in the way of opportunities to learn from somebody who's been there and done that. And sometimes we might look at an older person and just, think they're old, and really, they've gone places we haven't been, and they have wisdom. And we need to stop and listen.
Yeah. And that's why we share these, is because, first of all, George Raveling has a really interesting life and what he's done in basketball, but what he's done and other aspects of life too, are just really amazing. And being a voice for people, he's done a great job of that. But I think you summed it up really good, Sam. There's just wisdom from people that have gone before us. And I think there's one thing that I've done since an early age that I've appreciated, my dad helped me to do, is to listen to wiser, older people, and specifically coaches that have been in my life. It helps us avoid things. It helps us avoid pitfalls. It helps us learn lessons the easy way before we have to learn them the hard way. And so, look, he had so many good ones, Sam. We just kind of touched the tip of the iceberg here. But I thought it was really important for coaches just to hear some of these, because a lot of them had made me just pause in my tracks. It made me think. And so I hope you'll soak these in, coaches. Hope maybe you'll take one of those, process it, and help you to change. Maybe make a left turn or a right turn instead of going down the direction you are, because it's better for you. Hey, listen, if you got any thoughts on those, hit us up at Hardwood_hustle. Follow George Raveling on Twitter. He never posts anything negative. It's always just to help people. And so I think it'd be a great follow for you as well. And then let's just be mindful of his ability, even at this age, to just give back. And let's continue to be great givers to the game. Appreciate everybody that's listening. We are the Hardwood Hustle. He is Sam. I am TJ, and we are thankful.
Thanks again for tuning into this episode of the Hardwood Hustle, where we believe in the value of a coach. Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Hardwood_hustle to stay up to date on the latest episodes and share your thoughts with our coaching community. From the Hardwood Hustle team, thanks again. We can't wait to be with you again next week.